think anybody running a successful business today understands the role of the customer in a business. And I like to refer to the customers as the wellspring of all value. And if you think of a business as basically a vehicle for taking some natural resources, namely some capital and labour, two means of production in economic terms, mixing them together, creating some value from that. Where does the value go? Well, a big chunk of the value goes to the customers, a big chunk of the value goes to the government in taxes, a chunk of the value goes to the people employed in the business, and then there's a chunk, if left over, goes to the shareholders. But it is actually the customers that are the wellspring of all of that value. And in austere times, what happens is that, the landscape shifts. I think we all recognise that governments want to take more of the value share through taxation, and we're experiencing that now. So the government's share of value goes up. The environment gets really, really competitive, and so customers start hunting around looking for better deals and looking for a bigger share of the value. So customers take more value, government wants to take more of the value, which means that it gets very difficult for shareholders and the workers to be able to come through. So the only way out of this is to get more from less. But it is all driven by more customers, more custom. So the question comes really, how do you treat your customers, and what's a good customer and what's a bad customer? So there's the old mantra about the customer being king, which I think is a bit of a myth, to be honest. If what it means is, by all means, make sure that you look after and focus on customers, then I agree with it. But if it means focusing, come what may, on what every customer says and wants, then that is a real distraction to the business. It's very, very easy to get focused on the 1 or 2% of customers who might choose to be very, very difficult for whatever reason, sometimes valid, sometimes not, and to ignore the 98% who produce all the profit and value in the business. And it's very easy with customers to get focused on the kings, the people who think that they're royalty. And you have to remember that every customer is of value to the business, not just the ones who believe that they are royalty. And you can be very, very easily distracted into putting all your management resources into it's a bit like difficult employees. You spend all your time looking after, trying to deal with 2 or 3 people and ignoring all the rest who work day in, day out for you to produce a successful business. So customers are any customer that thinks they're royalty needs to be very carefully looked at. So I like to think of customers much more, not rather than royalty, but as a guest. They're a guest in our business. And if they're a guest in our business, just like they're a guest in my home, I would expect to look after them, to be attentive to them, to try and preempt any of their needs. If you think about a guest coming to your house, you get your bed made, you put the towel out, you prepare things so that they're going to be comfortable. You over-resource their experience to make them a welcome guest. But if I had a guest that came to the house and started demanding, a different covered duvet cover for the bed, I'd just tell them to, sling the hook and go and stay with somebody else. And it's a bit like that with customers in the business. So you've got to really, focus on that experience as a guest. And above all, the most important thing is manners. It's mutual manners. It's being polite, being in 2 ways, because you get customers that will email you and phone you in an irate state when all you've done is send them something that they've asked you to send them. I mean, that happens quite a bit, and so sometimes you just got to overcome any misunderstanding, but the politeness and manners are so important. And these days, of course, the old adage of manners costing nothing is not quite true, because if you're dealing with, as my business does, with tens, hundreds of thousands of customers, the systems to have in place to make sure that you are respectful of customer input, that you're not overly driven by any vexatious input from difficult people. It's actually very difficult to deliver. So my sort of summary on customers is absolutely they are the wellspring of all value. If you don't have them, you don't have a business. We all know that. And in the vast majority of cases, probably 99% plus, when there's an issue, it's probably been prompted by something that you've done and you are at fault. And you need to fix it. That's the person that's come to your house and they've gone up to the bedroom and the toilet's blocked or something. That's the genuine issue. But watch out for the 1% of people who you just cannot satisfy, whatever you do, and get rid of them. Go and ask them to go and stay in the bed and breakfast down the road. Move them out, because you're far better just going out and finding another 1% of people who will be good guests and who you can enjoy together, mutually get on and have a great life together. So that's my in summary, is absolutely focus on customers, treat them as guests, not as royalty. Thank you.